Today we have a very special guest, Dr. Johannes Müller, Johnny, may I say, from Siemens, Switzerland, who will share his story. So let's start.
Moria, it's a pleasure for me.
Müller, who are you? Yes.
It's a pleasure for me to be here. Thank you very much, Moria, for inviting me to this interview.
It's our pleasure as well, and we will enjoy your discussion, your knowledge. So let's go to and hear about what are we speaking about? Who's Johnny, and how did you get to knowledge management, and what's Siemens, and what Siemens has to do with knowledge management? Please lighten our eyes.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity. So let's start first with a personal introduction. As Moria said, my name is Johannes Müller. I'm originally from Germany, and my nickname, more or less widely well known, is Johnny. So everybody, nearly everybody in my private and professional life simply call me Johnny. It's also something like internationally touched. Okay, my academic background is electrical engineering, but I studied at the Technical University of Munich, and after my studies, I continued to make my PhD, also at the Technical University, in the area of speech recognition and automatic speech translation. I finished
what we call today part of the NLP technologies.
Yes, correct. This is more or less state of the art today, but in the 1990s, we have been something like the pioneers. So imagine at that time, the computing power was not so widely established like it is today, and it was very expensive and very slow compared to today's technologies. So to train our linguistic and phonetic models, sometimes the computer has to calculate days or even weeks, which can be done now within several minutes. So yeah, what was a very interesting time.
So you had a lot of time to rest when you, everyone thought that you're in university working very hard, and you had to rest because you would give the computer some model to run.
Yeah, but
and then you could do whatever you could go skiing and go back and come back later on.
Yeah, this would have been a dream life, but of course we had to prepare for the next steps. We had to think what we should do next, how to, so we need a concept. And of course we did also several publications within conferences, so everything was quite time consuming. And I was not 100% researcher. I was also a lecturer. I was assistant lecturer for a professor. It was human machine communication, the subject which I taught, and I was responsible for the exercises. So exercises as a kind of a supplementary for the lecture of the professor, and I always run the tests. So this was quite time consuming, and it was not boring. So skiing was only reserved for the weekends.
What I've learned from Johnny is that skiing is one of his hobbies, and unlike many of us, that when we want to go and ski, we have to arrange a flight and hotels and everything. Johnny does it every weekend. Hooray, Johnny. So how did you join Siemens?
Indeed. So I have something like a, let's say, location advantage. But I will come to this later. I joined after my PhD Siemens. I wanted to stay in the field of speech recognition, but in 1998, there was, at least in the German-speaking area, no possibility. So most of the research was done in the English-speaking area. And due to private and family reasons, I joined Siemens in 1998 in Munich, and I went into the telecommunications department as a service engineer, training our customers and even internal employees around the world. So I had quite some nice business trips all over the world for a certain telecommunications technology. And in 2000, there was an internal change. The product was carved out, something which I was responsible for, and I had to look around for a new challenge. And I joined in 2000, it was in June, the knowledge management department. And the funny side fact is I've never received a formal academic education in knowledge management. And since 2000, I'm more or less, doing knowledge management. Now for 25 years almost, I'm a 100% practitioner, and I'm still enthusiastic about it. Almost at the same time in 2000, my son was born, my first son. So I wanted to add this. I have two children, which are now 22 and 24 years old. And yeah, I did this knowledge management within Siemens Information and Communication Networks until 2004. And at the end of the year, I moved to Switzerland, where I started a new challenge at the former Building Technologies division. I really implemented, realized, rolled out the knowledge platform References at BT. BT is the abbreviation for Building Technologies, which later became References Plus in 2012 when it was widely used, and later on Siemens References, which is still existing today. As I said, I'm in Switzerland, so some advantages we have in our country. We have nice mountains, and this gives me, with the location Zug in central Switzerland, the opportunity to go skiing, more or less every weekend, at least if the weather is nice. So it's maybe 1 hour's drive or even shorter to the next ski resort. Or what I also do, I like ski touring, just to go off-piste anywhere to a mountain and go down in deep powder snow. So this is one of my favorite leisure activities.
Wow. Thank you for sharing. That's not trivial. So for those who are not familiar with Siemens, can you say 2-3 words about the company itself?
Yes, and I'm happy to share some additional slides for this, because Siemens is quite a, let's say, complicated company.
While you're sharing, because many of us may think that it's only, okay, our refrigerator is Siemens, but that's much more than that.
This is a very good point. Sometimes I do lectures in university, for example, at the Hochschule Luzern or in the University of Bern, about the knowledge management of Siemens. And usually I start my talk with, what do you think about Siemens? How is Siemens known for you? And as you said, most people say it's a refrigerator or a washing machine or a dishwasher, something like this. And the funny thing is, this is the people think of Siemens or perceive of Siemens in this ways because it's visible in almost everyone's kitchen. And this is completely wrong. So even myself, in my kitchen, we have Siemens electrical things, but the kitchen and household gear of Siemens is part of Bosch Siemens Hausgeräte, which is 100% subsidiary of Bosch. So Siemens is still the branding, and we don't sell this kind of things to the customers. What we do, you can see in this slide. So we have 4 major industrial businesses: Healthineers for the for the health business. So when you go to a hospital and have some imaging technology, a computer tomography or a magnetic resonance imaging, most probably you have a Siemens thing, which is in front of you. Siemens Mobility builds trains. So one of the most well-known maybe is the ICE in Germany, the high-speed trains in Germany. We also built the Vectron locomotives, which are sold all over the world. We do some intelligent assignments on highways, on parking garages. So, and we also do all the safety and security equipment for railways. Digital Industries on the left side is responsible for providing infrastructure and solutions for industry automation. So how to run an automobile plant, how to run a brewery, fully automated. This is part of Siemens Digital Industries. And last but not least, and this is where I'm belonging to, smart infrastructure. Smart infrastructure came into being in 2019 as a merger of the previous building technologies and energy management division. So we are responsible for building technologies and energy distribution up to a certain amount of voltage, which I don't know right now. The special thing in smart infrastructure is that it's headquartered outside of Germany. So the other businesses are more or less headquartered in Germany, but our headquarter is in Zug. So I'm a member of the global headquarter of smart infrastructure. Besides that, we have Siemens Advanta as an internal and external consulting firm, Siemens Financial Services, providing financial solutions for our customers and also internally, a kind of Siemens internal bank. Siemens Real Estate takes care of our buildings. So we have buildings which are rented, but also buildings which are owned by Siemens. For example, the buildings in Zug are owned by Siemens and they are maintained and managed by Siemens Real Estate. And last but not least, Global Business Services takes care of IT solutions and smooth processes for all our businesses. So you see, it's quite a complicated company. We have more than 300,000 employees in more than 150 countries. So we are more or less, located in almost every country in the world. It's a multi-billion euro or dollar, call it whatever, business. And as you might remember, these 300,000 people have a lot of knowledge. They have a lot of information, of personal experiences, and to run our business smoothly with so many people, we need clear strategic priorities. We want to have a customer impact. We want to build technology which serve a dedicated purpose, good for the society. We want to empower people, not only our employees, also our partners, our customers, to be better, to be faster, to be, let's say, more business-minded, more technology-minded, more value-minded. And we want to allow our employees a growth mindset. So they should learn from each other, they should share the knowledge. And as you think, I think as you might see, all these strategic priorities are very, very much focusing on knowledge.
So, okay, so here we go into our KM case study. Now, it's too wide to share all the KM business cases and solutions that you have built along the years. So we asked you today to choose a portion of it. And if you can share us the full journey, starting from some business need through the solutions, and then we'll continue on.
Yes, I will happy to do it. And I still continue with the already shown slide. I hope you can see it, our 4 strategic priorities. Sounds very easy, sound very clear, but there is a small, tiny challenge. And this small, tiny challenge might be well known for you. I hope I can switch to the next slide. It was stated by our previous CEO, Heinrich von Bierer, even in 2000. If Siemens knew what Siemens knows. By the way, it's a problem which is not only available at Siemens, so you can replace Siemens by any other organizational name. But if Siemens knew what Siemens know, this is our ongoing challenge. And this is my personal motivation to do my best, to overcome this challenge. Knowledge management is a means, not an end. This has been said by Bill Gates some years ago. And you see, we have a lot of aims, a lot of targets which we want to address with knowledge management. And of course, we don't want to capture facts only. We want to capture the tacit knowledge, the knowledge which is between the ears of our employees, in the brains, which is not documented. And it's a lot of soft facts. Why did the customer opt for Siemens? Which documents can I reuse? Whom can I ask? Who can help me in terms of a given situation? Was the customer happy with our work and is willing to share it? And this general approach and this general challenge, which I just shared, led to the evolution and development at the first thing of a platform which is now called Siemens References. And as Moria said and asked me, I'm happy to share the full story from the beginning. And the story which I'm involved in started in the year 1999. As you might remember, 1999, it was a pioneering year for the web, for the internet. The World Wide Web was quite 10 years old. And I was member in Munich. I joined the knowledge management team, and we had a platform called ICN ShareNet, ICN for Information and Communication Networks. And it was the knowledge which I could build on when I moved in January 2005 to Switzerland to join the Building Technologies division, and I built up the platform References at SBT, which was renamed to References at BT, References Plus, and since 2019, Siemens References. And it was really an evolution. It was a journey. It was a, how to say, a reaction on frequently coming user feedback. And it started with knowledge references, accompanied over the years by many, many other functions and features. RSS feeds, Google Maps, microblog, Siemens tagging service. We opened up to multiple divisions. In 2012, References at BT became a Siemens-wide platform and was renamed to References Plus. The journey went on. Mobile app, we had a skills function like in LinkedIn, included digital offerings. But interestingly, in 2017, when we introduced Microsoft Yammer, which is now Viva Engage, I had to close down my microblog and most of the forums because there was a kind of competition situation, which also was a bit confusing for the users. In 2019, every contribution, every knowledge reference was migrated to the still existing platform. We also kept our process. And again, the journey goes on. So many, many things have been introduced since that time. We even have an external platform which is available in the internet. So feel free to have a look at references.siemens.com. We are interconnected with many, many other internal platforms. We simplified our classifications, and Siemens References, our latest development, streamlined the layout and made the process of searching and contributing easier.
Sounds fascinating. And I think that one of the things that caught my ear is that you were brave enough not only to add, but also to remove components.
Yes, this I think is an important aspect, and it's somehow not only components, it's also content. So both we had to always think of a life cycle, and regarding of IT functions, IT features, as I said, it's an evolution, not only regarding adding features, but also regarding removing features. The platform must be streamlined. It must be easily, intuitively usable. Users want to quickly find what they are looking for. They want to easily interact without asking around and reading manuals or seeing a lot of trainings. And of course, I'm absolutely honest with you in this interview. Some features have been also a kind of try and error. If it worked, we left these functions, and if it didn't work, then we immediately removed them. And this also brought a lot of expertise how to build a kind of community platform for tacit knowledge exchange. What factors are important? And also a thing we have to consider is information security. So which kind of information should be shared via such a company-wide platform? Which information must not be shared widely? And for which information we need a special permission from the customer. So this is also something we had to consider.
May I ask a question? Because you're speaking about a very wide platform enabling technology. However, people can put on it shallow information and things that they have on top of their mind or that are available, and it doesn't mean that they put the more important information. And as you said, you are business driven, and you are trying on one hand to provide a platform, but on the other hand, not only to bring X tons of more information every year, but something that makes an impact. I remember your 4 strategy priorities. And you want to make an impact, and you want things to be better. How do you ensure that the technology aligns with the strategy and is not only an enabler? They'll put, they won't put, or they'll put shallow information, maybe, but how do you see to it that also the tacit information and the more important tacit information comes in?
In the last consequence, I think I cannot ensure to cover everything which is relevant into the platform. So I think it was a misleading approach in the early 2000s when knowledge managers of big companies had the vision to capture all the company knowledge on a database. I would say this is not possible. And even Peter Drucker said, you cannot manage knowledge. Knowledge is between two ears and only between two ears. But what we can do is to create, we as knowledge managers can do, is to create an environment, to create a culture where knowledge is shared easily, is shared without fear, without anxiety, something like this, without the fear of, being anything of getting negative feedback from anybody or even from the management. So I think this is a very, very important precondition. How do I ensure that Siemens References brings benefit? The connection between the quantitative connection between knowledge capturing or knowledge transfer and business impact is very, very hard to measure, I would say. But what I do is and I don't want to simply say, okay, we have so and so many clicks and so many visits and so many new contributions every month or every year, call it whatever. I think this is not enough. This is a sign that the platform is still alive, that the community is still active, but it doesn't say me, hey, is it relevant? Are the user happy with it? And I do user surveys maybe every 2 or 3 years, asking our users, how relevant are the contributions or the content? Which improvement proposals do they have? What's their, at least their assumptions for saved time, for saved money, for additional turnover by reusing the content found on Siemens References, and something like this. Of course, all these figures I collect are perceived benefits. So in a strictly scientific environment, maybe this is not 100% enough, but by receiving 1,500 to 2,000 replies, I can at least say average tendency over so and so many replies gives me the feedback, the feeling that I'm on the right track. And I forward these results, these survey results, to my management, and they have been always happy about it. So this is the approach I do for measuring the impact of Siemens References, of our web-based knowledge management approach. But as I said, 100% casuality, I cannot guarantee for everybody, for every user.
I want to see if I surely understand. So I'll reflect on it for me, myself, and for the people that are listening. Your emphasis is on an enabling infrastructure. The infrastructure has two parts. The technology, Reference Plus or Reference Siemens, and it had previous names, and the infrastructure of the culture. So that the safety, this psychology that people feel safe to share.
Correct.
Now, once we have these two enabling components in our infrastructure, and we don't have too many barriers because the sharing and the reusing is easy enough and intuitive enough, we enable people to use it, believing that they want to share their knowledge and they want to improve their business.
Correct.
Now, so first of all, you're setting the infrastructure with these two big pillars. The second part is that once maybe I believe that this is, you shared with us one of the techniques, that once in 2 or 3 years, you ask them, yes, is it really helping you? Yes. Do you think it can help you more? And then you're pushing them forward by that, because they not only think about things that you can change, but also things what else they can put in to make more impact. So you're pushing them forward very gently with several routines, techniques. One of them would be the measurements that come again once in 2 or 3 years. Some may be some lectures or some newsletters or some case studies that you may share of how things are impacting to give people ideas. Can you share more things that you do in order so that people know that it's not only in a platform, but that tacit knowledge is important, for example?
You mentioned it absolutely to the point. Just providing a good platform, just for spending a lot of money and building this platform and rolling it out, knowledge management, yeah, won't happen. So I think it needs a lot of communication. So what do I do besides this, platform related activities? I communicate. I want to keep the momentum high. So one thing which I think is crucial is to show appreciation to diligent authors and to show it openly. So we have a special group in our Viva Engage. Of course, in former times it was a special forum on References Plus, but this no longer exists. And we frequently highlight most diligent authors which contribute projects, best practices, lessons learned, which have extraordinary visit numbers, which means they contributed content which are extraordinarily relevant for our community. We provide sharing sessions. So for example, a Teams meeting, an online meeting, like we do it right now, and an author or an expert presents his or her use case, best practice, which is of course also available in References Plus. So this gives a platform for some experts, and the experts are happy about this. And it's an international audience, which not everyone is used to have at Siemens. Sometimes we do some, I wouldn't say competitions, or I wouldn't say incentive schemes, but some small measurements, some small actions. For example, 2 years ago, we just communicated the next 25 smart infrastructure authors will be rewarded with Swiss chocolate. Yeah, this sounds very easy. And Swiss chocolate might be a bit boring in Switzerland. But imagine maybe even in your country, but also in South America, in Australia, in Hong Kong, Swiss chocolate is something which is really a great motivation. And I just remember we really got more contributions as a kind of peak after this communication campaign, which by the way, didn't cost a lot of money. In some cases, the sending, the postage fee was more expensive, much more expensive than the chocolate itself. And I didn't say, it's always a kind of appreciation and visibilization around it. And I said, hey, please make a nice picture with the chocolate and yourself, and you might post it on Viva Engage, or you might even post it on LinkedIn. So when you thoroughly check my LinkedIn account, you will find also some chocolate pictures. The funny thing is that not only the recipient, the author, him or herself, was shown on the picture, but the whole team. Luckily, sometimes I send a big chocolate. So this was very good also for the team spirit. So you see, it's not only the platform, it's not only pure knowledge management, it's a kind of momentum which we as knowledge managers should create within a company, that people feel safe and people say, hey, I have unique knowledge which might be beneficial for others. I don't hesitate to share it. And I'm not on the end of this journey, so there are still some hurdles, some obstacles in front of me. But I think we as Siemens do quite well compared to other companies. And people share knowledge, and people are encouraged to share knowledge, even from our top management. And this makes me very happy.
Wow. Yes, would make any knowledge manager happy. We could go on and on, but the time flies by. So maybe you can share with us a challenge. You spoke about the obstacles. Share with us 1 or 2 challenges on the way so that we can learn from them as well.
Yeah, I'd like to share, let's say, 2 typical challenges which I think might be relevant for those who are thinking of building up a platform or having a platform. So when I started to roll out references at SBT, so the previous platform back in 2005, 2006, I prepared and offered several reward schemes or reward competitions where the employees, the authors could earn points in for contributing. So for each contribution was rewarded with so-called ref coins, and at the end of 4 or 6 months, I don't remember, I think it was different, those 10 authors with the most points have been rewarded with something. And why I share you this? In a time without such a competition, I talked to a colleague. She was very active. She even won a prize or even several prizes before. And I said, hey, you usually post a lot of projects and didn't hear from you. Why you don't contribute since so and so many weeks or months? And she said, yeah, I still prepare some contributions, but I wait for the next competition. Mr. Müller, please tell me, when is the next competition? And this opened my eyes. This was an eye opener. So now some specific authors, even very diligent ones, waited for the next competition. They hided their knowledge and they waited. And I thought, yeah, this is something which I should consider. Intrinsic motivation is not a good thing on the long run. Intrinsic motivation is a purely extrinsic motivator. Incentive schemes, I did it wrongly. An incentive scheme or an incentive competition is a purely extrinsic motivation. And it goes down immediately after you switch off the incentive scheme. Incentive schemes are not useful for changing the culture. For changing the culture, we must think about intrinsic motivation. Why do people share knowledge from themselves? It might be a kind of visibility, self-branding. It might be helpfulness for helping others, something like this. If they get a reward and whatever, okay, maybe this, but not monetary. If they think anyone, even themselves, have an advantage, they will do it. And it should not be incentivized by money themselves. So this is something which I think, and I don't do this, let's say a chocolate is maybe something different. It's just a kind of aha effect. But don't give money for sharing knowledge, at least on the long run. I wouldn't recommend it. And the second challenge is we can
refer here to Daniel Pink, Drive 2.0. When you read it, you'll find the same example with taking out the garbage of the kitchen. Let's continue.
Correct. And the second challenge I want to share with you is information security. I already mentioned it. So we had to be careful what is allowed to be shared on Siemens References. So for example, internal content we can share because it can be only accessed by Siemens employees. But since potentially, not in fact, but potentially 310,000 employees can access Siemens References, we are not allowed to share confidential or even strictly confidential content. This is also clearly defined by our Siemens Information Security Guidelines. Of course, we also use Siemens References for showcasing our project successes towards the external world as reference projects. So you see, Siemens References, the name has something to do with reference projects. This is not knowledge sharing. This is, of course, marketing and external communication. And we have
I would call it knowledge sharing, but for the other reasons.
Or let's say for
building your reputation. Something out.
Yeah, you're right. It's also a kind of knowledge and information sharing, but in this case for reputation, for showing our competencies, and we have to ensure, and this is also a very important thing I'd like to mention, that the customer formally agrees with a written consent document that this reference project is mentioned in the public. For example, in Siemens References, it's mandatory, it's absolutely mandatory to firstly upload a consent document signed by the customer. This is checked by an administrator, and then the author can switch the classification to external. This is a very important, somehow complicated process, which is somehow time consuming. But I always say, hey, you can immediately share your project information or knowledge internally, and after a while, when you have the consent document, you can upgrade your contribution to external. So this is the thing, but we have to keep it in mind as knowledge managers.
And you're also giving the solution how to break it down into pieces so it won't be too complicated and pushing people back and not doing it.
Correct, correct.
Wow, Johnny, what are your plans for 2025 and what are your dreams maybe for 2030? Where are you going?
Yeah, I have so many plans, and I think we will completely run out of time. So what we are doing right now, we want to be more supportive towards our sales colleagues. Siemens References, of course, is ideally for our sales representatives, and they usually work a lot and with our customer relationship management system. It's a Salesforce application, and at the moment we are building an interface where sales representative for a certain customer opportunity can directly create out of already existing content in Salesforce a new draft contribution on Siemens References. This should make it not only easier for our sales colleagues to create new contributions, but it's also a kind of, yeah, how should I say it, educational effect that they more than compared to the past contribute by themselves and don't say, hey, I sent my things to our marketing and communication department and they will do the contribution. For me, ideally, knowledge from first hand is relevant, so the sales representatives and or the project managers contribute themselves. Yeah, and
What
my
you're saying
dreams,
is,
sorry?
oh, I just wanted to understand. So when I asked you about the business needs, so what you're saying is besides having this large platform and infrastructure, culture infrastructure, and communication pushing people, for everyone, you are taking specific slices of business needs and audiences and looking at a business need and how you can help it. In this case, the sales represent the sales. Mm-hmm. And then you are building a more refined solution, whether on the processes or on the usage or on the direct contribution.
Moria, I now do knowledge management for 25 years and never, no one ever told me that knowledge management over these kind of web platforms is bullshit. Never. So people appreciate my work, but I often, frequently, nearly every week, I hear, I find it great what you're doing, but I don't have the time to share my knowledge. And this is a permanent, ongoing thing. I don't find the time. Of course, having no time is not an excuse. It means I don't see the priority in it, or I have too many other priorities which are too time-consuming, and my workday is also already so long that I don't do it in my leisure time. Completely agree. So I have, as a knowledge manager, and I think you agree with it, we all as knowledge managers should take care about to make interacting with the contribution, with the application and contributing as easy, as time efficient as possible. And this is one of our approaches, especially for the sales colleagues, being very familiar with our Salesforce application to make contributing on Siemens References much easier as it is now. And the second thing is, and this is maybe accompanying this, but this is not a development, it's just a dream. It's a vision. So now in the area of generative artificial intelligence, I see two use cases which I wouldn't say proposed, but I start discussing with our development team. The first use case is to make contributing much easier, not a structured 3 pages form with metadata and text fields and complicated question. You simply type in, you interact with a chatbot. You type in your natural language, not in English, not in German, with your native language. And the chatbot intelligently asks things which are missing in your input. And after a while, maybe when the chatbot said, now I have 80-90%, a contribution is automatically generated, and then you can finalize your contribution, which already has metadata and an automatically generated title according to our nomenclature. So this is one vision. And the second vision is also having a kind of natural language interaction, even with spoken as with speech. So this brings me to the point where I did my PhD. When searching for information, this can be even done on a smartphone. Hey, show me the latest 3 projects which we executed in airports in the United States, for example. And plop, I have my list, and this saves me a lot of time, makes it easier. I can even interact with it in dirty environments, on environments where I cannot type in my phone. So this is a vision, and yeah, I'm pretty optimistic that one day we make contributing and retrieving information and knowledge much easier as it is now.
Wow, what a wonderful dream. Last but not least, or almost last, can you share with us a tip? Look at a new knowledge manager or a knowledge manager that's out there for 5-10 years. You already have over a quarter century of KM. Also, I'm the same problem. We are the old people, and like wine, we just get better. So please share us some tips.
I quickly share my 6 success factors and come to my lessons learned. I think this brilliantly answers your questions. So I repeat maybe when I say we need a company culture based on trust and appreciation. So knowledge management, yeah, should become part of the daily business. This is maybe a concrete tip. Knowledge management should address and ideally solve concrete pain points. So if you just say we do knowledge management because knowledge management is important, it won't work because it doesn't address any business need. But if you have concrete pain points, in my specific case, it was the sales process was not efficient enough. Our sales representatives urgently looked for reference projects within their personal networks, and also our project managers always engineered projects from the scratch, from zero, instead of copying what is already available. So we had concrete pain points, which makes it much easier. We absolutely do need active support by the senior management, even by the company leaders. And the senior management, another important tip, must be aware of the positive impact of knowledge management. I think it's crucial that they know that knowledge management is beneficial, brings impact for the business. And a very good case was that when Roland Busch back in 2018 said, without talking to me before, by the way, that now we will store, I want all employees to store digital use cases on our platform References Plus. And an avalanche of contributions came after this clear statement. It was a short video of our previous CTO, which is now our CEO. Of course, we need community moderators. I would say without people like myself, it won't work. You cannot just implement a platform, have good processes, have clear goals, but without someone or a community driving the process, it won't work. Yeah, an incentive scheme might help at the beginning. At the beginning, it was brilliant to get initial content, to get a critical mass of content. But as I clearly said in one of the questions before, I don't recommend an incentive scheme as a permanent measure. And instead, I always think about intrinsic motivation. Why do people share their knowledge by themselves? And bringing this brings me to the final lessons learned I want to share at the end of the interview. So clearly, and it's not a tip, it's a life-saving measure for, I think, all knowledge management approaches. Always focus on the user community. Don't make your knowledge management project an IT project. It must be fully integrated into HR, into communications, and of course, you must be close to the people. Never stop to address, to moderate, to motivate the user community. I always said this in the interview before. And lead by example. When I don't share my knowledge by myself, I cannot expect that others will share their knowledge. So I have to be, as a knowledge manager, kind of role model. Walk the talk, I say. I always said this, continuous attention and support of the top management. The application should be easy to use. They should be intuitively usable. They should be modern. They should be appealing. It should be fun to interact with the contribution. This is why we how to say, cross-link many applications, including Siemens References. We provide many different communication channels to make interaction and knowledge retrieval as easy as possible. It's important to have first-hand knowledge. This don't works all the time, as I said, due to time constraints of the knowledge owners. And last but not least, and I think this is one of the most important hints I would like to share with you, let the participants immediately benefit from the content found in the database. If the content brings benefit to the audience, if they feel a kind of advantage reading the content is ideally exclusively on a knowledge sharing community platform, then I think the probability for making this knowledge management measure a success is quite high. So don't keep, I think this is the most important lessons learned I want to share.
Wow. I think you wrapped it all into it. And I want to say that Siemens not only won the lottery with you because of your approaches, but I think that the important thing is that these approaches sit on a wonderful passion. And when you're driving it with your passion, it leverages it to new heights. And therefore, I think that is also one of your success ingredients, maybe a tacit one, but it surely does the job.
Thank you very much. Moria, I'd like to say thank you very much for this opportunity. And I would like to end up with simply 2 slides which round it up in some ways. And doing so, I share the screen for a last time. I already showed the problem statement. If Siemens knew what Siemens knows, and with my work as knowledge manager, and this should be a motivation for all knowledge managers out there who might see this interview. Don't see it as a problem only. See it as a motivation towards a vision, which I clearly state as maybe anywhere in the future, Siemens applies what Siemens knows. So from a problem statement to a vision statement, this motivates me to do my best every day. And why knowledge sharing is important, I think there's no better one who can say it, who can phrase it as the late Larry Prusak, sharing my knowledge with you, and this also is valid right now in our interview, does not make me less powerful. It makes us more powerful together. Moria, if I share an idea with you and you share an idea with me, afterwards, both of us have 2 ideas. Knowledge is a resource which increases when shared. So I think this is a wonderful precondition for all of us.
Wow. And may I say that in many cases, if you share an idea with me and I share an idea with you, it also brings us together to the 3rd idea. And therefore, it's even more than in any other economy. Thank you so much, Johannes, for sharing your business case study. Thank you for being yourself, being part of our KM community. And let's hope that people listen, hear, and apply so that we have better knowledge management worldwide and more prosperity based on our knowledge management. Thank you and good day.
I cannot agree more. Thank you very much, Moria, for this interview. Have a nice day and all the best to you.
You too.